Welcome back to the show. This is still GH today here on GHOne TV. It's now time for courts today, and the captain of the courts has joined us. Captain, good morning.
Good morning, Lily.
His Excellency El Capitan.
El GHOne.
That's a lot of rounds this morning. El Limo.
That is happening.
But it's good to see you this morning.
Absolutely. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I heard Joshua earlier saying that he wants to propose for additional day.
Yeah.
I want to find out what you propose that day should be used for.
And what do you use weekend?
We have 2 weekends. We want one additional day. So I just want to be curious.
No, why should the weekdays be 5 and weekends just be 2? Like there's no balance, there's no synergy there. So I'm just advocating. I know, Charlie, a lot of people agree with me on that.
I'm sure even our director
and that brings
agrees,
to me the question that I've always been asking: why is Monday far away from Friday, but Friday is closer to Monday?
Hey.
Because Friday just has Saturday.
No, we'll hear the matter in court.
Sunday. But Monday is closer because it just has Sunday.
You see, this is why we need more justices at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
To settle matters of this
This nature.
Yeah. But let's look at what's happened in court yesterday. Anas Aremeyaw Anas.
Chadolans.
Yeah.
You know, years ago, Chadolans didn't mean anything. It was not worth anything. But now, no wonder we are in court.
Don't try. Yes, don't try. So the man on your screen, Anas Aremeyaw Anas, yesterday the Court of Appeal, a 3-member panel of the Court of Appeal presided over by Justice Senyor Jamefe, refused or dismissed his application or his request for appeal. You noted that sometime last year, the High Court delivered a judgment in favor of one Rudolph Adjei, in relation to some 2-acre land around Chado. Yes.
2 acres.
And as at that particular judgment, some cost of 60,000, 100,000 was awarded against Anas in favor of the plaintiff at the time. He was dissatisfied with the decision of the High Court, so he went to the Court of Appeal to face the 3 wise men. And yesterday, the decision was that 2-1.
Wow.
So the Court of Appeal has stamped the High Court's judgment earlier. It's saying that no, Anas, that 2-acre land does not belong or do not belong to you. It belongs to
Rudolph Tetteh Adjei.
Absolutely, and so go. And then a cost of 30,000. This one is not a fine. This one is a cost.
Okay.
30,000 against Anas to pay to the plaintiff. So what is clear now is that Anas do not own that land at Chado. But there are some other aspects of litigation, some of the land around Chado. But this one is in respect of 2 acres. And the Court of Appeal 2-1 is saying that look, Anas, that land does not belong to you. So don't trespass, don't go there. So the other panel, Justice Gifty Ejid Ado and Justice Archer. Yes, they sat on the matter. Christopher Archer, they sat on the matter yesterday, and so that is what it is for Anas. They say that 2-acre land is not his.
His bona fide property.
Forever.
Yeah.
But he has another chance. He can go to the Supreme Court to challenge that.
Please, we don't have enough justice.
That is
Thank you.
Our justices are overwhelmed.
The Chief Justice is saying that there's a need for more judges. Currently, we have 15 Supreme Court judges. They say there's the need for additional.
And
then the 5 are in the list at a point in time. The 5 who have been nominated. I think the whole issue has to do with the timing. The timing is what a lot of people are talking about and all that. But of course, the Court of Public Opinion will always have their say, and you don't joke with the Court of Public Opinion.
Exactly.
You will be wow. So that's what happened in relation to the analysis.
Yes. Right. Now let's talk about the Snit OBS case.
So,
why?
I like it.
The only is that
something there inside.
Yeah, not really, but something there inside, because that is why they are in court. So the 10th prosecution witness, and this one is the investigator. Once the investigator is called, then it's telling you that the prosecution will soon wrap up or round their case. And so yesterday, lawyers of the accused person, the defense lawyers, were subjecting him to cross-examination. And so before Justice Henry Anthony Kofi. And Justice Henry Anthony Kofi is a justice of the Supreme Court, and he's presiding over this case as an additional High Court judge. And must say that he's also the president of the Associations of Magistrates and Judges. Yes, so he is presiding over this case. And yesterday, lawyers of the fourth accused person, who have been the Parkwesi Abedu, he's the same person who is representing Richard Sky in the anti-gay bill in court. He's representing the fourth accused person. So yesterday, he took his stand. In fact, before then, Bafo Jehu Bonsu Ishia, who is representing the third accused, the only woman in the center of among the five subjects, had 30 minutes to wrap up with his cross-examination. Then lawyer for the fourth accused person took. And before Justice Henry Anthony Kofi today, they will continue with further cross-examination. And hopefully, when they are done, then prosecution probably or likely will close their case. And that is where the court will make a case as to whether a prima facie has been established by way of the witnesses, by looking at the testimony of all the 10 witnesses, if the case has been made, for which reason Ernest Thompson and the remaining 4 will have to open their account. So the case is gradually getting to crescendo. Do I have a favor page? So that's what happened with it. But it will continue today.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's look at some of the things happening today. We understand there's a gender law campaign.
Yes, Pan-Africa. Yeah, Institute of African Women in Law is hosting an event called Gender Equality Law Campaign. Okay. It's always program for women. Because
the men in law would have to.
Men in law have to get that. So they want the women to catch up. They want the women to be recognized in institutions and all that. So today, the Institute of African Women in Law is hosting this particular event at the Moving Peak Hotel, and the Chief Justice will be there. This event is being organized in collaboration with the judiciary and the Ghana Bar Association. So everybody that you think of is expected to be at this forum, and students as well, law students also have the opportunity to be there, and it is expected to attract a number of 150 people from across the continent and all that. So this is one of the things that is happening today. So the focus will be much more on this particular event, and we'll have some exclusive interview with some of these international guests who will be coming. And we'll stay in the course of the week. We'll hear a lot of things. Once you are learning so much in Ghana, we need to learn things.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yes. So this case or this program is coming on today at 9:30.
Oh, 9:30 a.m.
That's when we are still on, so you can tell them to watch.
But Mike Nineko is still calling witnesses.
Yes. So the last time I was here, I told you about the 15th witness, and we expect the 16th to be called. And so, why are you laughing, Joshua?
16th witness in one.
We are going 61.
We are going 61. We are going a long haul.
So you are not even out to.
We've just reversed the number now.
So the 16th came in on Wednesday when the whole focus was at the Supreme Court. He was also doing his due at the High Court. So he was discharged. So today we expect the 17th witness for Michael Njineku to appear and to testify before Justice Efia Sewa Saribuchi, one of the judges who was penciled down for the Supreme Court, and we have seen all these controversies. She's a hard-working woman, if you ask me. But of course, people will have their say, exactly what they have to say. You can't control, you can't change anybody's mind. People speak their mind because we are in democratic world.
Exactly.
Somebody was telling me in Ghana the kind of democracy we practice. Is it the democracy we inherited, or we are doing it?
We have now tailored it to suit us, our culture, our belief system, and all of that.
So when you're having your say, you just have to listen, whether you agree or disagree. You can't change that.
That's why it's called Kebi Mami.
Okay, Captain, thank you very much.
Remo and Joshua.
So this is the Jolie version on TV.
You don't know.
So that's it for court today.
Right. Well, yes. So that is. I don't think that is the situation, and that is because from grapevine information and from backdoor conversations, there were people who had reasons for and reasons against, and there were reasons for and reasons against not only Napo, but several others. Other names came up: Brian Champon, Dr. Yao Educhum, the sitting chief of staff. Madame Akosua Fremont, Sel Paris,
Even
Natoshe. So for all of them, there was always something about for and against. So the point was that you had to tick the boxes or check all the boxes. When all was said and done, it looks like Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is the one who checks all the boxes. What are the boxes? They wanted a candidate who was a grassroots person. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh ticks that box. He has stood for parliamentary elections in the country 4 consecutive times. And for all the 3 last ones, which is for the Mensah South, he has gotten more than 80% of the votes in Mensah South. So he ticks the box as a grassroots person. They wanted somebody from the Ashanti region. He ticks that box from the Ashanti region. You wanted somebody who has been in the party and has occupied sensitive positions. People know him. His popularity is there. He ticks the box. Somebody who is a unifier. You speak to anybody who is around Matthew Opoku Prempeh. They will tell you he will sort you out. He will take care of you. And yesterday,
for somebody like Kennedy Ejapong to say that I am coming back into the fray if you're given the nod to Matthew Opoku.
that itself is a box that has been ticked by him. So because Kennedy has a constituency.
Could it be that, I mean, he identifies with it? They say Napo is arrogant. They say Ken is arrogant.
Well, arrogance is
relative.
Is relative.
Yeah.
People have a way of saying that. I'm sure somebody thinks that I am arrogant.
Oh yes.
Yes. So, but if you ask IB, yes, if you ask IB whether Wilberforce is arrogant, he will tell you what.
Oh, yeah.
If you ask, if you ask my very good friend here, he say Wilberforce is arrogant. He say Wilberforce, really?
Your good friend mean Sheikh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. My very good friends. Even though I'm a Christian, my very good friends, good friends, are all Muslims. You'll be surprised. Mutala is one of them. He's one of them. Ibrahim is one of them. And then Razak at Daily Guide.
Okay.
All of them are Muslims.
Muslims. Yeah.
That's what it is.
For a pastor.
So for me, I think that
compared with Muslim clerics.
Yes, I think that Napo is. It was a foregone conclusion, and the energy at Alisa Hotel yesterday by the people who gathered there, the party faithful, and then the unanimity in the acceptance, because you see, all the people who are gathered there who formed the NEC, Bawumia had already consulted them individually, all the bodies without exception. So there was nobody who was sitting there in that meeting who Bawumia had not spoken to personally before that meeting. So the energy is there, and what people are looking forward to now is
the energy minister.
Yeah, well, what people are looking forward to now is the outdooring in the Ashanti region, and the decision itself in going to the Ashanti region, going to the Jackson Park. All of them have meanings to this ticket that is going to be outdoored. Then again, after Tuesday, we should all know that we have, technically speaking, in this country, entered into the election season, because now all the tickets are complete in terms of the 2 main parties. The NDC ticket has already been completed long ago. Now the MPP ticket is also completed. So we have entered into that election. We are going to hear things. We are going to play draft. We are going to sing songs. We are going to jump. We are going to somersault. But in all of it, let nobody kill anybody. Let's just go and talk your facts and let the people of Ghana vote and decide who to be president.
Sheikh.
This title is very heavy for me. It's very heavy. I'm a Muslim. I've done some karate. I've gone to Makaranta, but I'm not up to that level. I've been comfortable with even Imam than Sheikh.
ICQ will say he's the only Sheikh.
He's the only
Sheikh in Ghana.
But that's not possible. What can I say? As we have been saying all along, we knew it was always going to be Napo. When I saw various running mate aspirants, even though it was not an elective position, running around, seeing people apparently some of them did not even tell the flag bearer that they were interested in the post. They were just gestures through media and all that. And,
now you're making me laugh. so this one, do we go back to our secondary school days and say Apostle Ev?
Upon no drop. You see, they were making gestures. I understand there was somebody, just one person, who told the vice president that he was interested in being the running mate. And that person did not even do any media work. He just told the vice president direct. He was the only person, and yet his name never came up in the conversation. Nobody mentioned him, everything.
Wow.
But all the people who were jostling around never told him directly that they were interested. But they showed...
Yeah.
they showed interest.
They showed interest through the
so
media, through
so
consultations.
That it will capture his attention.
Yeah, exactly, through consultations and through lobbying people they thought were close to the vice president and the MPP flag bearer. So when that happened, I spoke to somebody, one of the spokesperson, the vice president. And he said, "Look, my brother, don't worry. The man has known his running mate long time. And therefore, he was not worried about what was going on. But people were worried. People thought that it was going to divide the party, the way things were going. And some publications were actually becoming very nasty. And then some attacks on individuals, and that was not going well for the party. And people were genuinely worried about that. But the candidate knew who he was picking, and as we all said here, we also knew. We also predicted that it was going to be Napo. So it was not surprise at all. It was not also surprised with the massive endorsement that he got from the National Council, the second highest decision-making of the party. Body of the party. It was because of the massive or extensive consultation that the flag bearer had done. Look, even the people, and my understanding is that even the people who were jostling for the position, even though they didn't tell him all that they were, he met with all of them and told them his choice after he has made it. So this is how consultative the flag bearer has been within the party ever since he became the running mate to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, president. So it was obvious that some people were still, even when he said he had presented the name to the president, and the president gave his blessing, there were these issues that it was, even those contestants, I put them in quote, were saying that it was not finished yet. It was not finished yet. And so people who supported...
we had seen this before with the Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
So yes,
you see, that thing, people, it's never happened. People said that he sent a name to National Council. The name was rejected. His name never got to National Council.
Okay.
What did happen was that there were consultations outside the National Council, and people thought that no, she was not the person at that time to partner in, and he dropped the name. The only name he presented to the National Council was Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Even there were issues.
But let me just quickly say that when it comes to choosing of running mates for every political party, there will always be proposal of names. There will never be one name. Now, I'm not talking about presentation
not
to the
at
final
the National Council level.
Not at the presentation or at the at the final level. But whenever it comes, even in the NDC, before Mohammed settled on Professor Nana Jane Opoko, there were names. I heard Julius Debra. I heard
what's the name?
Wada.
At some point,
I heard Mensah,
retired police chief Kofi Boachi's name came up and all that. Even Sir Sam Jonah at some time. So there will always be names going. MPP, several names, plenty names.
But in 2008, that was what happened. The names came up and apparently the person he wanted to pick first was Hajia. But when the team went to consultation, when the people said no, the party people, Guru said no. They were not comfortable with that name. And he dropped the name. So the only name he presented was Dr. Mahmoud. That must be made clear. And so that is, now we have Dr. Matthew Opoku Pepe endorsed to partner Dr. Mahmoud for the election. We have done our story today that the battle lines have been drawn and it is Mahmoud Bawumia Napo versus Mahama J.
Versus J&J.
Versus,
Yeah.
it is clear.
Yeah.
Now, Ghanaians will have to look at these people. I have seen some people yesterday trying to throw some mud at Napo. And I've said it on this platform that, look, this election is not about character assassination. No. It is about bread and butter issues. It's about how to transform this country. It's about how to
even convince the
voter. Look, those days of Gobelian politics is long gone. No. Gobelian politics, propaganda, those days are long gone. People are becoming more discerning. They are looking at the issues. Which political party or candidate is promising what we think will better the lot of Ghanaians. Yeah. That's what we should be looking at. If you run into the arena, I've seen something quickly put out, some artwork, talking about so-called 10 sins of Napo. And I said, wow. I look at some of them. I look at that.
Let he who is without sin.
I look at those and I said, wow. Wow. I have always in my life, I don't start fights that I cannot end. And I've always advised politicians that don't start something that you cannot end. And especially if you live in a glass house and you are throwing stones, you must be very careful that your house may be brought down through stoning. So we should be very careful. Look, let's look at the issue. So 20 is a crucial election, and Ghana, we all know we are facing challenges. Who can help Ghanaians? Who will fix the challenges? What are the alternatives? What are the issues that will better the lot of Ghanaians? That's what we should be looking at. We'll look at the competencies of the people, the pairs and all that, and what they can do for this country. I think that is where the focus is. If you are going to look at personalities, attacks, of course in politics you look at personalities, but don't do it in a manner that is insulting, that is degrading. That's what I will say for now, and I think that we have interesting times ahead.
Absolutely.
Napo will be outdoored officially.
But I have heard comments from some party communicators who say that, well, they do not have time for an outdooring. Well, they've already known this name, so they're going to hit the ground running.
This is Ashanti Regional. He just told you there's a reason why the thing is going to Ashanti region. There's a reason. Look, you need to galvanize your base. You need to let the people join the euphoria. There's euphoria across the country, but that is your base, and that is where the man is a royal. He's coming from Mensah. He's from Mensah, the grandson of Otufo. And he must be presented to the people. And that's what, you see, in politics you have to be strategic. Your strategy you have to be top notch. If you get it right, strategy, you can always win elections. And that's what the NPP is doing.
Well, the West kept secret.
Yes.
And like I mentioned last week, Napo made it practically impossible for Bawumia to settle on anybody else because he had done the work. He had pressed the buttons that he needed to press. And the power forces behind him equally assisted. And I sat here and I told you people that it's a strategy for the party for the Ashanti region. When you deploy strategy, it either works or it doesn't. If it works, you are home and dry. And that is the strategy being worked. Going to outdoor Napo in the Ashanti region, like I would mention, what the royal blood in him, which automatically will come with the backing of Mensah, the level of apathy that many polls have projected in the Ashanti region. You need to galvanize the base. Now, the choice came to who can we take that everybody within the party, in the region especially, will rally behind. Who can command the people, let's go, and they get up and they are going. Because the numbers have taught us that anytime NDC does anything better than 25% in the Ashanti region, NPP is in trouble. Now, there are many people, and they have said this on record, who sit in the Ashanti region and say, we won't vote. And the party is aware. The polls have projected this reality. So what can you do to change that? Because anybody in Ashanti region who says, I will not vote, is -1 vote for the NPP. And I dare say +1 vote for the NDC, because they will not go there to vote for NDC. They won't. But if they don't vote for you, it is yours
It means that
minus
the NDC
one.
numbers are showing up.
Exactly. So it is a strategy deployed. The question will be asked, is Napo the best from the region? The party says so. And the Council of Elders, the National Council says so. You heard the president yesterday. The president says he's satisfied. Good. Now, and I maintained whenever issues of changes, be it from parliament, be it from selection, the best leveler is December 7th.
Yes.
The best testament for this choice as to whether it is good or bad is December 7th. See, we talked about mads being thrown. Of course. Even Professor Nanejin Opokajima, who was plucked from academia, had nothing to do with politics. People threw mad at her. So why should anybody be surprised that somebody who has been in parliament for 16 years and has been tapped to be running mate, people will not dig up and then throw mad? They will. As to whether it sticks or not, it's dependent on the strategy of the team. Now, I heard that Fifi Boafo,
Yes.
the spokesperson for Cocoa Board, has been tapped to be the spokesperson for Napo.
Napo, yes.
A good choice. A good choice. Oh yes, I think there were stories. to that.
I've also heard that. I've seen some people write
Yeah.
stories, but I
Yeah.
think that the running mate may have communicated that to him.
Okay.
To him as Fifi Boafo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Fifi
Yeah.
Boafo, for all intents and purposes, is more than qualified.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's the point I've
That
been
is undisputed.
Yeah, that's the point I've
That's
been
no
Yeah.
problem at
That
all.
Yeah.
an astute media person has been communicating for Cocoa Board for the past 7 years, right? And then tapped. But politically, it's a development that is welcoming. Now all the parties are taking cue from the fact that you need a communication team around the political arrowheads. Be it the flag bearer, be it the campaign team proper, or be it the running mate. So the task will be for the running mate to look to the flaws, like I mentioned last week, and address them. Reinvigorate the strengths and take advantage of those. Because trust me, every human being will have strengths and weaknesses. Every human being will have flaws. The challenge is when your flaws are much more than the others. So that's one. The other one is the unveiling. Oh, I'm sure the conversation about the needlessness of the unveiling is because the same comments were made when Jinan Opokajima was going to be unveiled.
Yeah.
See, it is a campaign platform they are creating. I sat here and told you that. The NDC will be damned if he had not done what he did. It did. Because they got the opportunity, they got the ears of the entire nation, and they projected the woman and projected the party's message. And that's exactly what's going to happen at the Jackson Park. First of all, there will be a rallying point for the party in the region. Comments will be made. All our attention will be there. Media will give coverage. They will get the opportunity for the running mate to tell us what he's bringing to the table, either as a mate or as a co-pilot, as a co-driver, regardless of the semantics. He will tell us. It will be an opportunity for him to also erase the misconceptions about him. See, whether you like it or not, the arrogance tag is there. He can use it as his advantage. The president today, when he was in opposition, constantly he had to deal with the arrogant tag.
Yeah.
Right? There are still some people who have not disabused their minds of that perception. It's there. But it's up to you how you manage it, how you hold yourself to the people that you want to lead from the back.
But my critical question is, what happens to the Mensah constituency?
Yesterday?
If you look at the numbers from that constituency,
Yeah.
it's risen ever since Napo took the reins of that constituency.
No two ways
What will
about it.
happen to that constituency now? Are we going to see a dwindle in numbers?
No. I think if for anything at all, the numbers will have to go up because their MP has now been elevated. That's one. Two, I'm told the direct brother,
Of
is in
Napo,
the race of Napo. I've seen the flyer all over. In the race to seeking to...
Have we not gone past the 6 month?
No,
There's not going to
for
be a by-election.
MP, for Parliament, he's not relinquishing his post as an MP. It's
Well, he
for
goes till 2025.
Exactly.
He leaves by January 7th.
Like John Mohammed did. When John Mohammed was tabbed as running mate to the late President Mensah, he was a member of Parliament. He saw through his term. The only thing is that the party will decide, or the president will decide whether he holds his position still as energy minister, because Krapa has just been elevated as Minister of State at the same ministry. Is that to say that Napo can still go on and hold that position as energy minister while Krapa is doing the work, or Napo, like everybody else in the party?
He will need all the time to go and campaign.
Good. Will have to resign as energy minister, and then Krapa's elevation as Minister of State will mean that he can then do the work without any hindrance, because he can sign documents and everything. That's one. For the party, it will have to decide who becomes its candidate in Mensah South, and that will be through primaries or whatever mechanism the party decides to roll out. The point I'm making is
should the party consider the lady who contested Napo?
Why not? There were many who then say that whoever placed second when the main primaries took place. So, for instance, be made to just replace Napo. Others would disagree.
No, it doesn't happen. The party constitution doesn't allow.
No, the party can waive anything. The party actually waived the timelines for naming of the running mate.
I listened to the general secretary. It's good. They will be fresh.
That's the point. So the party has made a decision. The point I'm making is that the party could have said, we are waiving this. And the party waived the deadline for naming of a running mate. Which you get the point. When
yes, but the party must be seen
to be democratic.
No
two ways about that. So I'm saying that it's a party decision.
They should just allow the contest.
No problem.
Let people express their interest.
Artworks, posters have already.
Oh yes, yeah. That's the point I'm making. So for Mensah, like I said, it's just like saying Bantama. Unless there's apathy, even if there's apathy in Ashanti region, I'm not sure Mensah South will be part, because to them their son has been elevated to be running mate. So what business do they have sitting home and not going out to vote? But like I said, the best measure will be the outcome of the December 7 elections. Nothing else matters.
He was talking about just a second.
Okay.
He was talking about apathy, and that of course every political party, if you do 8 years, there will be that kind of level of apathy. And what you need to do is to prevent that apathy from going into the election. And that is what MPP intends doing, intend to do. But you were saying that if NDC
crosses 27%,
you see. Well, that is so. I thought you said if MPP doesn't get
No. I'm saying that if NDC crosses 27%,
okay,
MPP is always in trouble.
That's true.
Yeah.
But MPP in 2020, in fact, 2020 was the only election MPP got less than 72% in Ashanti region and still won the election. Anytime they won the election, it was around 75. So in 2020, they got 71 point something percent, still won the election. Because dynamics have changed. That's why when people do polling elections, look, there've been migration, there've been movement, demographics have changed. So when you do polling in this country, you have to be very careful. You have to be very, very careful. And as you said, the real polling is always on December 7th. So people, in fact, the polling will guide you, but you should not take it as a gospel truth or finality.
Okay, gentlemen, let's talk about the Supreme Court. The CJ says, I need more people to help me at the Supreme Court. I need more people. I need 5 more people at the bench. The NDC says, well, the CJ is conniving with the presidency to pack the Supreme Court with NPP justices. Wilberforce, what do you think?
Quite interesting, if you ask me. At the end of the 2019 and 2020 legal year, there were a total of 18 Supreme Court justices. At the end of the 2020-2021 legal year, it was 16. At the end of the 2021-2022 legal year, it was 14. And at the end of the 2022-2023 legal year, the number dropped again to 12. And as it stands today, 3 have been added, and so they are 15. Now, the Supreme Court as an organization, as an establishment of the Constitution, has been given a mandate. And their mandate is to adjudicate cases on behalf of the ordinary people of Ghana. They have a certain jurisdiction, and it gives them a particular power to exercise. Now, what I see the Chief Justice saying is that when the court is sitting to deal with appellate cases, it needs a minimum of 5 judges sitting. for appellate cases. And then when it is dealing with constitutional matters for purposes of constitutional interpretation, it needs a minimum of 7. The court currently says it has about 515 cases that it is dealing with. So let's assume that the 515 cases, half of it are appellate cases and half of it is constitutional cases, just assuming. So the 15 justices that we have there, you can constitute 3 different panels. Like if you are separating them, so 15, 5, 5, 5, 3 panels to deal with 250 appellate cases. If you are dealing with constitutional matters and you are doing 7, you can constitute 2 sets to handle those cases. If not, you have to make sure that they are on multiple panels to hear multiple cases. Now, the results of those multiple panels and multiple cases is that you will have delayed judgments and delayed decisions coming from the Supreme Court. So there can be the talk about the fact that the Chief Justice has gone to request for 5 more people. If you look at our Constitution, our Constitution says that at all material times, the Supreme Court will consist of 9 justices plus 1. That plus 1 is actually the Chief Justice. So Chief Justice plus 9 others as minimum. So our Constitution says minimum, we must have 10 judges. It does not state maximum, but minimum. Someone can make the argument and say that looking at the way we have grown, maybe we should look for a constitutional amendment to say that instead of minimum being that 10, we should lift it to be minimum being 20. So that you have Chief Justice plus 19. You know, Cabinet. Cabinet has how many? 19 plus 2. There's a minimum of 19 for Cabinet, and then 2 being the President and the Vice President. When you add them, it makes it 21. So Cabinet is 21. Cabinet comes for every 4 years, and there are 21 people who must form our Cabinet. So that the 20 minimum I'm talking actually will require constitutional amendment.
20 maximum or 20 minimum?
20 minimum.
Okay.
But what the Constitution does today is that, or as it stands today, the Constitution says that minimum you must have 10.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say maximum.
Yeah.
So a president can decide to appoint 50.
Yeah.
And the Constitution does not stop the president.
Yeah.
Do you get it? So I think that what the Chief Justice is attempting to do is trying to see how she can speed up decision making at the Supreme Court, because the current numbers are hindering the process. The Supreme Court now, from when I see the course list, sits on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Some time ago, they were sitting on Tuesdays and Wednesdays because the judges needed time to be in the back, in their chambers, writing their rulings and their judgments and all that. So let's put reason to this matter.
Yeah.
Let's not put politics to it. And at all material times, the Constitution makes the president, the Judicial Council, and all other parties to be the ones to decide on how we elect or how we appoint our Supreme Court justices. So let's take the politics out, especially when it comes to the judiciary.
Yeah.
Let's take the politics out, because you never know who will become president on the 7th of January 2020. When the reality comes to hit you, when you come there and you decide to appoint judges, if we are not careful, we will come and say that you are also trying to pack the court. So let's take the politics out.
I think some of the concerns of some of these lawyers are that it is coming from the CJ.
Well, so there has been
with suggestion of names.
Yes. So what is the process? The process, as we have known, is that it is done together with the Judicial
Council.
Council.
Yeah.
The Judicial Council is made up of a select number of people from various institutions, bar association, the military, their government appointees, and all that. So they come. Now, at least I am privy to certain documentations that demonstrate that those consultations have been done.
Okay.
And it has the buy-in of all of these people. And so the CJ's communication is communication or is a communication that has been transmitted to the president as a result of all the consultations having been done. If you look at the names that have been presented, there is none of the 5 that are not qualified. Yes. Justice Bafo is more than qualified to be a Supreme Court judge. Justice Ifiasewa Saribuchi, extremely qualified to be a Supreme Court judge. One of my favorites. Yeah, extremely qualified.
Your favorite?
Yeah. I love it when women are going higher.
Feminist.
And all that. So let's take the and again, when it comes to the history of appointment of Supreme Court justices, the truth of the matter is that it has always been void of partisanship. Look, the former Chief Justice, Ekufu, Sophia Ekufu was appointed to the bench by former President Rawlings in 1995. She rose up to become Chief Justice. Her Chief Justiceship position was, she was nominated and appointed to that role by President Akufo-Addo, who is an MPP president. But it was an NDC president that brought him there. Several other examples can be given. All I'm just saying is that let's take the politics out. I understand the NDC. When former President Mohammed was president, during his period from 2013 to 2017, he appointed 2 justices. Only 2 justices. I recall that when he was president, there was communication from the Judicial Council that listed about 5 or so names, asking him to appoint them to the Supreme Court. Right. And I think he refrained from doing that. I remember there was the late Mafusau on that list. I remember at that time there was a Court of Appeal judge that I knew, Justice Said Ahmed, whose name was on that list, and some 3 others. The then president refused to do it. And then he rather appointed Puamang and Justice Apau. Subsequently, Justice Apau has gone on retirement. So, in fact, Akufo-Addo, since he became president, has appointed some persons who became justices of the Supreme Court, and within Akufo-Addo's term of office, those justices have gone on retirement. Yeah. A perfect example, I think, is Nene Amegachi, and then Justice Kote.
Yeah.
I think so. They were appointed by this Akufo-Addo government, and within the lifespan of the Akufo-Addo government, they have come to serve and have gone on retirement. Justice Joche, the lady, she was also appointed by President Akufo-Addo. She's gone on retirement. So even under President Akufo-Addo's own government, he has appointed justices who have served and gone on retirement. As it stands today, there are justices at the Supreme Court who are getting close to retirement. In fact, I forgot to add Justice Honyenyuga. Justice Clemens Honyenyuga also became a judge at the Supreme Court and has also gone on retirement. So all those, the numbers, the age, the dynamics are so complicated that when you bring politics into the Supreme Court, we risk creating problems for ourselves as a country. So I am actually making a plea that let's take the politics out. Akufo-Addo has appointed justices to the Supreme Court who have given rulings that went against him.
Yeah.
Good morning. And well, I told producer that I will step out.
We'll take a quick break here. Wilberforce has to leave us quickly. When we come back, the 2 suspects will continue the conversation. We are right back after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. This is still GH Today here on GHOne TV. The weekend review is on, and as I mentioned the usual suspects are still here. Now the Islamic clerics are still here with me. Ibrahim Al-Hassan and Audu Mahama. We're talking about the NDC's call to the president to stop conniving with the CJ to pack the Supreme Court. Audu, let me take your thoughts on that.
Politics. See, Lily, is this article 1442 of the 1992 Constitution clearly states how justices of the Supreme Court should be appointed. It says that justices of the Supreme Court are appointed on the advice of the Judicial Council in consultation with the Council of State and with the approval of Parliament. Finito. That's how justices of the Supreme Court are appointed. Now, you know the Chief Justice is the head of the Judicial Council, right?
Yes.
Now, what NDC has not told us is whether there has been consultation with the Judicial Council. And if there is consultation with the Judicial Council, who is supposed to communicate that decision to the president? These are the things we should be looking at. Constitution tells you how the judges of the Supreme Court are appointed. And this is a process. And therefore, we should be questioning the CJ whether there have been consultation with the Judicial Council or advice with the Judicial Council. And these names are coming from that consultation and advice from the Judicial Council.
But you know, somewhere in June, the Judicial Council kicked against the move to add more Supreme Court judges. Somewhere in June,
Well, it is June.
They rejected the
June last year or this
June
year.
this year. Just a few weeks ago. It was, I think, June 23 or June 24.
I am not privy to that information, but I'm not doubting what you are saying, but I'm not privy to. But I do not understand why Judicial Council will object to that, knowing the work that the Supreme Court has to do. Look, people are looking at saying that America, the population and all, they have 9 justices. Their system, I'm not a lawyer, but I know their system is different from ours. Here, the Supreme Court is saddled with all manner of cases, appellate cases, constitutional matters, all manner of things. In US, it is not everything that goes to the Supreme Court. There are serious matters. So here, somebody starts from the lower court and rises high to the Supreme Court. And that's how our system works. And therefore, at any material point, you need Supreme Court judges to be able to handle those cases. So we should look at the process. If the process has been followed. If the process has been followed, I don't see why this politics of packing the court by politicians should come in, and that they are favorites of MPP on that. This is, look, we have been in this country where we have had systems where justices were appointed by one regime. If you look at PNDC, NDC, before we came to 1992, some of the justices came all the way from PNDC time and all that. And Rawlings came and added some, like some just mentioned Justice Sophia Akufu and others, like some are gone, Justice Uredu, and what's the name? Some are gone. But when it comes to matters that the Supreme Court has to determine, sometimes they do it with that political coloration. And I remember in 1993-95 when MPP went to the Supreme Court on the matter of the celebration of the 37th December revolution using state funds. The case then MPP versus Attorney General. All the judges that sat on the case were appointed by either PNDC or NDC. Or Rawlings. And yet, the Supreme Court determined or decided, ruled that the government then, NDC government, should not use state resources to commemorate 31st December revolution. And that was a decision that was taken by judges, as I said, appointed by Rawlings. So it is not all the time that when you appoint judges, they will necessarily have to go with you when you bring the case before them. It is not all the time. In fact, Justice, there was an instance where the lady Adjei,
Adjei
actually dissented on a matter that government brought before.
Right.
I think the matter that was against government, the state,
Yes.
dissented. And there are others. There were others who dissented, appointed by President Akufo-Addo. So we should not, by any stretch of the thing, politicize our judicial. Look, you and I, if we have any problem, there's a place that we'll look for adjudication is a court. If you politicize our court, the level that we have politicized our parliament, of course, is a political arena, executive the same, but judicial is the only place that we must not take our politics to, because they determine our fate. They determine our future, whether we live. In fact, there are instances they have to determine whether you live or not, the judiciary. So we should not politicize that sacred institution. Look, let them do their work. People, they have conscience. People are appointed by presidents to that high office, and yet when it comes to taking decisions, they think of their oath, their fidelity to the law. They look at the law and make decisions. That's what you should be looking at. This is about somebody is parking
The bench.
the bench with party people. I think we should not entertain that. Are we saying that the appointments made by former President Rawlings, I don't know how many judges, I cannot really recollect how many judges Professor Mills appointed.
I think he can't really recall, but at least they all appointed
I think he did some. Are we saying that the judges that were appointed by former President, late President Rawlings, were all NDC people? Are we saying that the judges that President Kufuor appointed were all MPP people? Are we saying that the judges that President Mills and Mohammed appointed were all NDC people? Are we saying that President Akufo-Addo, all the judges he has appointed and wants to appoint will all be MPP people? Look, you remember Justice Appel? A strong cadre who was a deputy regional secretary in the then Born Ahafo region, was appointed by John Dramani Mahama. When the 2020 presidential election came, before the thing, was he not part of the unanimous 7 that Mahama is talking about? Unanimous 7, was he not part? Was he not appointed by former President Mahama? So it is not all the time that when you appoint judges, they will always go with you when you have
A case.
a case. Sometimes I've always said that your case will determine the outcome, the outcome that you deserve. If you send a bad case to the Supreme Court, you get the outcome that will merit what you have sent there. So we should not, I am saying that, look, let's look at issues dispassionately and look at the procedure. I will want us to look at the procedure in appointing Supreme Court judges. If the procedure is wrong, then we must all criticize it, because that's how we have to go by the dictates of the Constitution that governs all of us, we all use. So we should go by the dictates of the Constitution. If the Chief Justice has not gone by the dictates of the Constitution, we should all condemn that and make sure that what Constitution says should be followed in appointing our Supreme Court judges. Other than that, this politicking, I know my saying will not stop them from saying it, but it is not healthy for this country if we continue in this tangent.
Well, I'll be very brief on this. I think there is no reason whatsoever for, of course, President Akufo-Addo has just replaced. So in spite of the fact that he's appointed about 10 of the justices who are currently at the Supreme Court, even more, right? It's because retirements were due, so he had to replace them. What is going to be done now is an entirely different thing. We are raising the number to 20. That has never happened.
Some will be retiring.
No, we are not even due yet. It's not even 6 months before retirement. In fact, no justice at the Supreme Court will retire before Akufo-Addo leaves. So this is a special dispensation to add 5 more. And I say, as a nation of 33 million, we just turned 33 million. It's a no. US, they have 9.
But their system, I just said,
Yes,
their
see,
system
the
is
point
different.
I'm making is that
about US.
never said we've done this for God knows how long. If the
that
system is that bad, Right? How come that no president was wise enough to move it to 20? Why now?
Oh, he just mentioned that.
No, you're not getting it.
I mean, yesterday
No.
when we engaged Justice Abdullah,
Yeah.
he said that even the 20 is charitable. We should raise it to 27.
I agree.
So it is
you
not.
know, do you know the number of people we need in EIB to work for us? Do you know the hands we need?
We need a lot
But we consider many other things. Oh, you think if the president is allowed, he won't appoint 500 ministers? He will do it. Right? But you look at the kitty that you are working with. So yes, I understand that we don't have enough. In fact, we don't have enough lawyers. You know how many lawyers are in Upper West? 3. You get the point I'm making? But I'm saying that for now, given our economic conditions, given our population, the Chief Justice mentioned that the case overload is high. I agree. But you see, as we speak now, we have 15. If you empanel 5, at least, at every point in time, you have 5 attending to 3 cases, right? If you give them multiple cases, you can manage
simultaneously.
You can manage it. That's the point I'm making. So that's 1. 2, the Chief Justice had no business writing on her letterhead asking the president to appoint these individuals. It should come from the presidency. The executive must be nominating in consultation with the Judicial Council. The Chief Justice is just a member of the Judicial Council.
That's not how it is. The nomination of the Supreme Court, how do you call it? Chief Justice is different from nomination of the other justices. Look at the Constitution. Article 144(1)
if you had allowed me to
Please allow him land. Let me hear him.
Chief Justice constitutionally has no business putting names on a letterhead and sending to Akufo-Addo for appointment. If it's the Judicial Council, if Judicial Council doesn't have a secretary, they cannot communicate in the name of Judicial Council. That's the point I'm making. The Chief Justice has no business putting these names on her letterhead. That's the point. And the lawyers have actually made this abundantly clear that procedurally, that is wrong. The Chief Justice has justified, of course, the last anti-gay bill. They need the numbers.
Case,
The point I'm making is that 6 months to an election, 6 months to an election, at least, even if you need more numbers, leave that to the next president. Be it Bawumia, be it Cheddar, be it Akufo-Addo, be it, what's the name, Mohammed. Leave it. Political prudence will require that you leave it.
You failed to mention Alan
Chiramatin. And then who else? Okay, so that's it. Cheddar, Alan Chiramatin, Mohammed, Bawumia. Leave it to them. How difficult should this be? But I'm saying that on principle, and the fact that we are just 3 million Ghanaians, I will not support any attempt.
Remember, they are going on legal vacation soon.
Exactly. So after appointment, they come to Parliament, they are vetted, and then that's it. See, by the time they return, the elections are in, it's over. Then it's next year. What the point I'm making is that, see, we might have the right to do everything, but it's not everything that's prudent. The president has been lucky. At the point in time, it will be that he's the one who appointed almost everybody at the Supreme Court. That's not his doing. They were due for retirement and he had to replace them. Yes,
that's not even new.
Yes, of course. But then we had issues with the caliber of people he had mentioned, and we criticized. And that's done. That's what we could do. We criticized that people who had contested to be parliamentary candidates or who are contested as parliamentary candidates to enter parliament had been nominated. We had our bite on that. It's gone. They are the court. Their conscience will serve them. Like Audu was saying, no two ways about that. But nobody can run away from the fact that when it comes to political decisions, sometimes it is glaring and showing at the judgment that are delivered. Professor Raymond Atuguba did some work in that regard. And I'm sure there was a whole brouhaha, tsunami as to why, because he actually took the political cases case by case and went far back as Rawlings days. So he didn't limit to do anybody's administration. And then came to the firm conclusion that when it comes to attending to political cases, which regime appoints you, which president appoints you, plays a part. He drew that firm conclusion. Let's not run away from that fact. As we speak today, your birth certificate is useless because a panel sat at the Supreme Court and said that your birth certificate, that indicates where your nationality, it is written there whether you are a Ghanaian or not. There is a column that the Supreme Court panel sat and said it doesn't authenticate your nationality, and as a result, your birth certificate cannot tell that Lily Mohammed, you are a Ghanaian. We had that judgment. As we sit here, I'm struggling as a layman to wrap my head around that judgment, but it came from the Supreme Court. when Martin Amidu's case about his retirement age was taken to court, we all know that in Ghana, when you are 60, you go on retirement.
Yeah.
In some special instances, 70, right? A panel sat and said that was an exemption, a novelty. And then we sat here, we all accepted it. The point I'm making is that let's not behave like the ostrich. See, the law is as the court says, the Supreme Court. So if the Supreme Court wants this way, it can, even without precedent. In fact, the Supreme Court can even depart from its own precedent.
Yeah.
So let's not run away from that fact. We are in Ghana, it happens. At the, finally, in US, there's an immunity judgment that has been slapped on Trump. Listen to the Americans speak. They are calling this a travesty of justice because you know what? Trump and then the Republicans appointed many, if not all, of the justices at the Supreme Court. So Americans are crying because the court sat and said Trump is immune to some of the charges they have leveled against him. Even in the US. And their reason is that it is because they were appointed by a Republican president. It happens everywhere. So the point we are making is that we have a nation to build. We have a democracy to protect. If it swims like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, if it squats like a duck, chances are it's a duck.
Lily, I am happy he cited United States and all that. I have always said that the appointment to the Supreme Court in the United States is completely different from Ghana. In the United States, judges are sometimes appointed based on their political affiliation. It is very clear in the United States. That doesn't happen in Ghana. United States, judges are appointed based on their ideology. Whether they are even feminists, whether they are whatever. United States is very clear. Ghana, we don't have that system here. So we don't compare Ghana to United States. Everybody knows that a judge is appointed and this judge is a Democrat. This judge is appointed. The judge is known that he is a Republican. That is known. And when it comes to decisions, they make that clear. So their system there is different from ours. And you are talking about your America having 9 justices. Yeah. Look, America doesn't have, they don't do what we do here. Somebody start a case at the High Court, even Circuit Court. It goes all the way to the Supreme Court. America, they don't entertain things like that. They deal with matters of constitutional matters, matters of national importance. Here, every frivolity is sent to the Supreme Court in this country. We allow that because our constitution allows that. So if you are looking at number of judges comparing US to Ghana, you may be mistaken. And this isn't about, I just gave you an example of 1993-94 case, MPP versus Attorney General in the matter of celebration of 31st. I said all the judges were appointed by Jerry Rawlings, and yet the case went against him. I also started the 2020 election petition.
Ghana in the 90s is not Ghana in the 2000s. It's not Ghana.
I just mentioned 2020. I mentioned 2020. And you're also talking of politicians.
Dissent is different from judgment.
Okay.
Look,
a justice can
what do you
dissent.
mean by dissent?
That
judgment, the 7-0, who appointed this man?
Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking of
the 2020 election petition.
Are you talking? What is who? Why? He could not have dissented. During Trump dissension in 2012,
the dynamics were different. See, there were many who have even wondered
why
the Chief Justice, because Georgina Wood decided not to sit on the earlier Supreme Court election petition panel for a reason. A reason. See, all of us here, if you are sitting with our boss, our behavior is different from when our boss is absent.
That's true.
So if
That's
this,
true.
if this
Like
that
I'm
is
sitting
what,
with my boss
if
this
that is, look,
I'll have to adhere to time. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Yeah, my boss is here.
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
if my boss was not here, then we could have.
That's fine.
So thank you very much, gentlemen. Aremeyaw is the managing editor for the Custodian newspaper, and my boss Ace Investigative is the head of the political desk here at the IB Network. We're back shortly after this breather. Stay tuned in.
Right.
But I worked in central Accra for over 22 years, around Derby Avenue and around the real Gamashi, real Ga area. And I always heard Neil Ante. I said, what's Neil Ante? He said, Neil Ante is the firstborn boy in the family.
Right.
And I'm the firstborn boy in my family. So I said, I like that name. So I just said, let me just, and then it caught on.
Right.
So everywhere I go, here's Nilante. Oh, Nilante. I'm on the streets, and the street children. Hey, Osofo Nilante. So I love it.
And when they call you Osofo Nilante, how does that make you
I'm
feel?
Happy. I'm happy.
Right,
Yes, I'm happy.
right.
Yes, I'm
Amazing.
happy. Yeah.
But I mean, this morning you are here because I had to touch you. I mean, you've gone to the Vatican. You've met the Holy Pope. What even triggered that visit?
Yeah. Okay, let me tell you why I went there. Last year at our concert for the lepers at the Christ the King, I mentioned that I'm 50 years taking care of leprosy patients in Ghana.
50 years.
50.
5 decades.
5 decades, yeah.
Wow.
5 decades. So I said I want to celebrate it by going to Rome. I want to see the Pope.
Right.
I want to see. I've never shook hands with the Pope before.
Yeah.
So I said I wanted to, because the Pope has always been somebody I've admired. He's a man of God, a man of prayer, a man of underprivileged, a man who loves the poor and the needy. So I've always admired him and always wanted to just to shake hands with this man. That's all I wanted. Just let this be my my anniversary gift.
Right.
So I mentioned this at the gathering at our concert. And the next morning, a couple rang me and said, Father, I'll sponsor you to go to Rome. So a couple from Legon, Mr. and Mrs. Gilbert Aintree, they sponsored 2 weeks in Italy, Rome, and different places. Oh, we had a wonderful time, wonderful.
Wow.
But anyway, so then we said, okay, let's go and see the Archbishop and let's go and see the Nuncio. So I went to see both of them, and they had to write a special letter to the Secretary of the Pope. I don't know what was in the letter, but obviously they touched their lives when they heard, my work, 50 years working with lepers, street children, and the poor and the needy. So I got a letter back to say, I'm having a private audience. I said, yeah.
Wow.
Private audience. Because normally you have big groups.
Exactly.
They shake hands with the Pope and they take the whole and say, but this was private, in his private library.
Just the two of you?
No, there were a few others who came,
Right.
they came with me. The couple that sponsored me, they came with me.
Okay.
And also the ambassador from Ghana to Italy. Ambassador Marini Benya and her husband, they came. So we sat around his desk, and just talking to him, just being with him, shaking hands with him. I take him for it. There was something special. I mean, I've never felt so happy meeting this man of God. He's a real man of God, a man of prayer, a man who loves the poor, a man who's always fighting for the poor, fighting for the needy, and somebody I've always wanted. And I just stood there, and we were together, and I've linked him. In one photograph, I've actually linked him. The two of us are like this. It's like a father.
Wow.
It's like a father figure.
Right.
And we sat down, and he asked me my work, what am I doing? So I told him my work all these years with lepers and the different leprosari, taking care of them, feeding them, begging for money for them, bringing them to hospital and one thing and the other. And also my work with the street children, my work with prostitutes, my work with prisoners, helping those going to the firing squad. I told him all of these things, all of my work with these people. And then he stopped and said, Father, he said, how old are you? So I said, I'm 78. Then he said, Father, you are a brave man.
Wow.
I said, you are a brave man. He said, keep it up. Don't get discouraged. Don't give up. Keep on doing what Jesus wants you to do.
Oh,
keep on doing
and that's you.
Yes.
That's the Pope.
This is Siva holding hands here.
I can tell you were really excited at this particular one.
I wore my black cassock, black cassock, and we just held hands together. And he said, don't give up, he says. Because it's not easy working, I'm 53 years now in Ghana.
Right.
And he said, don't give up, he says. Keep on doing what Jesus wants you to do, bringing love and happiness and joy to the poor and the needy. That's what his advice was. Because not everybody likes what I do.
Yeah.
No, I'm on retirement. And they don't, my best friend back in Dublin told me I'm mad. to do all this work. He said, you're mad. He says, you're mad. You're mad.
Because of the
Because
work
of
that
all
you
the
chose
work
to
I'm
do
doing now,
with
yeah.
the poor, the needy,
Yeah.
the lepers,
But I'm
and all of
not
those
mad.
people. Right.
I'm mad for Jesus. And I said, no. And he said, Father, don't give up.
Right.
You know, because I say my work is a special work. You see, what was it, a year before I left, went on retirement, they thought I had COVID. I was working at Christ the King.
Yeah.
And one morning I couldn't get up out of bed. So he said, Father has COVID. So they took me to UGMC, negative.
Yeah.
But they kept me there for a few days. But then I had a crisis. And I had a blood pressure of a dead body.
Whoa.
So they had to bring in doctors. This was midnight. They brought in doctors and come and help Father Campbell, such and such. So they brought me back to life again. They brought me back to life. Because people who came to visit me they said, we'll never see Father again. Look at him. He's on his way out.
No.
He on his way out. On his way out. But I came to. And I was on the drips. You know, all the drips. I was, you know, all the machines and all of this. And there was I lying in the bed.
Wow.
In the ward on my own. And God spoke to me. And you know what he said to me?
What did he say?
God said, I heard him. I heard God, and he said, you haven't finished your work. Help the poor.
Wow.
And I was, a year later, I was going on retirement.
Wow.
And they were taking care of my accommodation at Wage and Leper Service. So I said, I know what I'll do. I am not going on, I'll retire, yes, retire from Christ the King. But I want to go to Wager, and I want to stay there and spend my life there. I want to die in my boots.
Wow.
So that's why I'm doing this work now.
So you're continuing the work despite retiring from Christ the King, and of course, all of this. So what I want to find out is your meeting with the Pope. What will it do to your work?
It's inspired me to continue to do more.
There's no going back
It's inspired
for
me
you.
to tell everybody, you know, many people are sleepwalking in Ghana today because they don't know what life is about. They're not happy. They're not happy. They're not fulfilled. They're not happy because they're looking after what? Materialism, money, land, a car, all sorts of material things, and not the things of God. Not the things of God. They're not looking for those things. They're looking for happiness in a different place. And the Pope reminds us, that we must give and share. I am 54 years a priest this year, and I can honestly tell you, I'm as happy today as I was on the day of my ordination.
54 years on.
54 years.
And what would you say has kept that happiness?
Yes. What has kept my happiness? What keeps me going? Many people ask me this question. Many people, they say, well, Father, what keeps you going? Why? And I'll tell you what keeps me going is my life with God, my spiritual life, my prayer life. That's why I take inspiration from this man.
All right.
And I get the inspiration also. My patron is Mother Teresa of Calcutta. And Mother Teresa, somebody I admire. And one day, a young priest came to her. And the young priest said to Mother Teresa, Mother, I'm just ordained. I want you to advise me. What should I do? What advice do you give me as a young priest? So he thought, Mother Teresa, go and help the lepers. Go and help the handicapped. No. Mother Teresa said, spend 1 hour in prayer before the Blessed Sacrament every day. 1 hour. In quiet prayer. And that's what we don't do. We don't value the gift of silence, the gift of silent prayer, the gift of spending time with God. Because when we spend time with God and we feel the presence of God and we know when God touches us, God speaks to us in prayer, God encourages us in prayer, God guides us in prayer. God is the one who tells us, don't give up. Don't give up. I mean, you look back in my years, you look back in my years, 53 years, they haven't been easy.
Right.
It's not every day has been a rosy day. what has kept me? Why didn't I pack bags and say, I'm leaving?
Exactly, because you were in a very difficult field. I mean, talking about the kind of people that you have to deal with daily in this mission. Was there ever a point where you felt, this is too much? This is not it's too much than what I
packing bags, I'm going home. Oh, many times. Of course there has been. But I didn't.
Yeah.
What kept me here was my relationship with God. And that says, look, you have a mission. I have a mission. And when you read the Bible, Psalm 41, and it says, those who take care of the poor and the needy, God will bless you.
Yeah.
On your sick bed, I will raise you up. I will raise you up. On your sick bed, I will raise you up.
And that's what happened to you.
That's what happened to me at UGMC. God raised me up. The fulfillment of Psalm 41. People don't seem to realize the blessings you get in giving. Today, we're more concerned with material things. What type of car have you got? Where are you going on holidays? Where do you live? Oh, that's beautiful, nice hair you have on, and all these material things, the dresses we wear, the shoes and all sorts, as if they're important. They're not. The important thing is relationship with God.
With God.
Because that's what the Bible tells us in the Psalms. The man with clean hands and a clean heart will climb the mountain of God. And we all want to climb that mountain.
Right.
That's what gives me inspiration. When I look back at my over 50 years, and I meet many people who I've taken care of. Maybe sent them to school, helped them in an operation, helped them buy medicine, helped the families. And I'm so happy that I've been in that position to be able to assist these people. These are people down in Cape Coast.
Right.
Lepers in Cape Coast. Cape Coast.
And there's so much joy on their faces.
I'm just so happy, to be able to assist them. Because the greatest problem we have with the lepers in Ghana is a stigma. People are afraid to go near them. When they see me putting my arms around them and hugging them, look at my hands. Look, have a look at my hands. They're fine. There's nothing, the stigma that people are afraid to go near them, to touch them. That's why people prefer to go and give gifts to other institutions rather than to go to a leprosarium.
Yeah.
Which is sad. It's sad. So this is my life. Is to help these people, to give them hope, to give them encouragement, to support them in every way. Because we're helping one little girl. There's one little girl. Her name is Priscilla. Priscilla came to us about 2 or 3 years ago. And she was from the north, from Wa. And she was in hospital. And the family wanted to take her. She was only 2 then. And the family wanted to take her out.
This is probably when you were much younger.
The family wanted to take her and do rituals. And you know what that means? Because one of this little girl's sister, they killed her. They killed her because she had leprosy. So they wanted also to kill this little girl. So we took her to Waja. And we've been looking after her for the past 3 years in Waja.
Wow.
Past 3 years.
Wow.
And when she came, she had an infection on her feet, on her right and left foot. The right foot we were able to cure. But the left foot, it came into the bone and it spread right up. And she's had 3 operations.
Wow.
3 operations, amputations. So her leg has been amputated here. 3 operations. We've taken her to different places. And the wound won't heal. And there's a hole inside it. The wound won't heal. We've tried and tried and tried. So the vice president, who's our patron of the Lepers Aid Committee, he's been so supportive of our work. He said, Father, you send her out and I will sponsor her. So we're arranging for to send her to Rome.
Oh, Priscilla is going to Rome.
She's going to Rome with one of our social workers, and they're going to Rome. And they're going to the Children's Hospital. The Pope has a hospital in Rome, a big hospital.
Wow.
Big hospital there. So she's going to that hospital. And the vice president is paying for everything for this little girl.
Wow.
So this is the problems we have that, you see.
That was a delegation.
Yeah, that was a delegation.
Wow.
It was wonderful. It was just...
I'm sure when you see the pictures, it reminds you of the euphoria and how it all felt when you were there.
The joy of serving the poor. I mean, when I think of my friend at home, Andy says, you're mad. You're mad. I mean, I'm not mad.
You've got to meet the Pope
The joy and happiness.
through the work that you're doing.
Yeah, the joy and happiness I have of being with him and to see, you know, an occasion like this. I mean, this is what presidents and other people get when they go and see the Pope. Who am I?
Yeah.
I'm just an ordinary priest.
You're an Ilante.
With my the greatest title you can give me is Father.
Father.
Father. I'm a father to everybody. That's the title. That's the title. The only title I want is to be father to children, to be father to adults, to be father to the poor, to the needy. That's all I want. Is to be a father.
And I'm sure that a lot of people are wondering. So, yes, this meeting with the Pope has given you inspiration to do more.
Impetus, and to tell everybody, look, if you want to be happy in life, share. Give to others. Because if you're a man of prayer and you pray every day, your heart is filled with God's love. You want to share it with others. You want to give. That's where it comes from. And the more we pray, the more we want to help people. Help the poor people, help the sick people, help others. That's where my love of God overflows into helping the poor and the needy. And that's where, you know, when I meet a man like this, he's a living saint. He's a living saint. He's just holding his hands, you know, just holding it there. I mean, you feel, you know, this is a saint. It was awesome. It was awesome. I'll never forget it, never. And I thank God for the fantastic opportunity that I've had going to see him in his.
Right. So we know you've been embarking on quite a number of projects. I mean, so going forward, what should we be expecting from Reverend Father Campbell?
What should we be expecting? Street children. Helping street children at Sempe. We're building a soup kitchen there. And then the World Bank has given us also a project for Wager to take care of 500 street children, 250 up in the north and 2 up in Kumasi and others in Accra here. So we're going to take care of street children between now and the end of the next year. We'll be taking care of those. And then with Wager, you know, we're also building. We've got in the gas company are sponsoring a soup, what you call it, a sports complex for us.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
with a 7-side football, swimming pool, basketball, volleyball, tennis, and the money we get from that will help us to be able to take care of these people. They get 2 cedis a day to live on. Who lives on 2 cedis a day? I mean, I had a ball of Kenke the other day. It was 5 cedis. 5 cedis. But they get... So I need money because the money for their medicine alone is expensive. The medical care at the hospitals is expensive. Sometimes they need operations, they need procedures like an ECG or a scan. You know, all that costs money. So I need money. So the gas company are going to build that center for us, complex, and then that would bring in money. But not only help us in Wager, but also we help those in Ho, in Kanchina, Kukufu, Wa, and Ankofu. We also help those too.
Right.
So, and every year we get about 200, 250 new cases of leprosy every year.
Wow.
So we still have to work hard to get rid of
There's still more to be
leprosy.
done.
You know, we have to eliminate leprosy in Ghana. We have to do that. But every year we get these new cases coming up. So, and then up in up the north area, there's many cases up there. So we have to do a lot of work up there that we have to do.
Right.
So this is the projects which we have in mind to help, you know, to help the poor and the needy and the underprivileged.
And you mentioned one thing, that for you, true happiness comes from giving. And so many Ghanaians are there walking around. We are not happy because we are not giving and also spending quality time
They're
with God.
sleepwalking.
You're sleepwalking.
You see them going to church on Sunday and all the roads in Accra are empty. But then during the week, what are they doing? Look at all the corruption and all the lack of transparency. Oh, sometimes it pains me. Then we come to church and we go, hallelujah, hallelujah. Now, why come to church if your heart is not clean? Go and clean your heart first, then come to church. You know, when I see people lying, people stealing, people being dishonest and ghost names and this and that, it pains me. It pains me. Because Ghana is blessed. We've gold, we've bauxite, we've cocoa, we've oil. We've got all of these, and we're still begging. Why? Why? We're still a third world country. Why? Why? Why is this happening? If everybody in Ghana was honest, completely and truly honest, we wouldn't be a third world country. So let's be honest. That's why the Bible tells us the man with clean hands and a clean heart will climb the mountain of God. And that's what we want.
Because a lot of people are talking about our economy now, the fact that, well, the economy is not doing well, so people have to cut corners, get to do so many things to be able to even survive.
But the Catholic Church tells us you can never achieve a good through an evil means. As Thomas Aquinas said that, going back 800 years, you cannot achieve a good through some evil. You cannot steal to feed your family. You cannot steal that. You cannot steal. Go and work. Go and work. There's work around. The work around, and then whatever it is, you feed your family. But you cannot steal. You cannot do wrong to achieve a good. So don't do wrong. God will bless you when you do the right thing and you're determined to do the right thing and you're honest and transparent. God will bless you.
Because we see ourselves at a point where currently the youth, so many people doing so many things simply to get by. And now most of them have also identified, well, I went to school with this guy, he entered politics, in just a few years he was able to get stuff, let me also go there.
Look at our youth today, they all have mobile phones. You get all the young girls with their Brazilian hair and their cute texts and all, where do they get the money for all of these? I asked them, the money you give to the hairdresser, is that what you give to God? Is that what you give to God? The money you spend on your Brazilian and your Nigerian hair, is that what you give to God? No, the young people have to learn to give, not just money, give of their time. Give of their time, help poor people, needy people. The young people today, we have to learn to give and to share what is given. I think at times we've spoiled our young people. We've spoiled them. And they think, that you get rich is easy, get rich easy. No. Be honest. What you sow, you will reap. If you sow good seed, you get a good crop. And that's what we should do.
So you believe the right examples have not been set for the youth, and that's why we see the youth out there.
Adults at times are not given the right example. They're not given the right example. So who do we look to as an example for? Sometimes our parents and others are not given a good example. They're not. They're not given that example. So we need adults today that we can be role models to us. Role models as regards work, honesty, church, whatever it is. We need people we can look to. We know that person is a good person. That person is a man of God. That person does the will of God. That I want to be like him. That's what you want. And that's what we need in Ghana today. People like that.
Right. And you mentioned that the greatest title you ever want to bear is father.
Yes.
Because you want to be father to all. So as a father, we are entering into an election in December. A lot of people have said that, well, we've seen what is happening in Kenya. If we don't take care, we might have a similar situation happening in Ghana. 5 months away from the general elections, what would be your message to the youth?
What happened in Kenya was sad. It was sad when I watched it on the television. It was sad. So what should we do? We have to be peaceful. Learn to be peaceful and learn to be honest. Let's keep away any brown envelopes and things like this. Let's be honest. Honest in our dealings. No matter what happens, let's take the results as it comes. To be honest and transparent in every way. That's what we need to do. No violence, no insults, no abuses. Sometimes you hear people insulting and accusing this, and it's not nice. What's our young people to feel when they see people in authority abusing and insulting and telling lies? It's wrong. So we need our Christian principles. Respect one another, no matter who you are. If you belong to a different party, respect you. Respect each other. It's like in football. I follow Manchester United. I respect Chelsea. I respect Manchester City. We respect one another.
Even Arsenal.
We'll often fight, such we love you, such and such. But there will be no insults, there will be no accusations, none of that. And it's the same too in life, that we should respect each other. And you hold your views, I hold mine. Fine, that's all. We respect each other. And let's be peaceful. Let's be peaceful and pray that we don't say things that will make people angry and annoyed and insulted. Stop it.
Because, I mean, for what happened in Kenya, which you say is very sad, it's been blamed on the political class not being honest with the youth, not necessarily paying attention to the plight of the youth, not listening to the concerns of the people. And that is what degenerated into what we saw there.
So we need to really pray hard for the elections on the 7th of December. Pray that all will go well and that everybody will be peaceful and do it in the way we want it to do. We can do it. We've done it before. We can do it again. With the help of God, everything is possible.
Now, Father, let me quickly bring in this one and then we'll wrap up the conversation. The dichotomy between politics and religion. So we've heard, and people have said that, well, people seem to espouse all these qualities, the honesty, the transparency, before they enter politics. But once they find themselves in politics, then everything changes.
That doesn't go for everybody. We hear of those who do get rich. You want to be you want to get rich, be a politician.
Be a politician, yeah.
But you also get some good, honest politicians too. So let's look at them. Let's not just look at the ones that have given bad example. Like it's like you've got a bicycle and now you become a politician. You've got a nice big car. Let's give the example. So we just ask politicians to refrain from all of this. It's not big car that we want. Serve your people. Serve your people. Be in touch with your people and love your people. Whatever we can do, this is what we want. So politics is not just for money, and it's sad. And we have to sort of stop that. Let people serve the country. Be patriotic. I wish more people would be patriotic. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. People should be more patriotic and love their country and die for their country and accept whatever comes as the will of God. That's all. That's all. And respect one another and expect results, respect in every way. So there's peace. You can be a Manchester United supporter, I can be a Chelsea supporter, but I will respect you.
That's right.
I will tell you, sometimes you play football, but I will respect you. I won't insult you. I won't falsely accuse you. I won't do these things. I will respect you, and that's what we want in Ghana. Let's respect one another. Fantastic. And don't abuse, don't insult, don't it.
Thank you so much, Reverend Father Andrew Nilanti Campbell, for coming. But then how can people support the courses that you are embarking on? If people want to support?
Through my Momo, my Momo account. I can give you my Momo account.
Right.
024 332 6643
024 332 6643.
And the name
All
is
right, so
Andrew.
it's on the screen. It's on the screens currently. So you can just quickly pick the number from your screens. It's 0243 326 643. That's how you can also donate to support Reverend Father Andrew Campbell. And the name on the Momo is?
Andrew Campbell.
Andrew Campbell. So if you see Kodjo Mensah, please don't send it. Make sure that it's Andrew Campbell. Thank you so much, Reverend Father. And it's such a pleasure having you.
God bless
I'm really
you.
grateful that you could come to the studios this morning. Well, this is still GH Today right here on GHOne Television. We have more for you right after this break. Stay with us. Thank you so much for staying on with us right here on GH Today on GHOne Television. And it's a Friday. We're wrapping up the conversation this morning. But first, let's speak to Dr. Arthur Kennedy. He is a former flag bearer aspirant of the NPP. Now, the party has found its foot in terms of getting a flag bearer and a running mate going into election 2024. But let's speak to him and find out his thoughts on the choice of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh and what that portends for the fortunes of the party going forward. Doc, thank you so much for joining us on Zoom.
Thank you for inviting me.
Great. I hope you're doing well.
Good morning to your viewers.
Fantastic. So, as it stands now, your party has settled on Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh to join Dr. Bawumia on the ticket for the party going into election 2024. What are your thoughts on this Bawumia-Napo duo?
Yeah, I congratulate Dr. Opoku Prempeh for his choice as running mate. If eventually, it will all come down to the candidate himself, and maybe in the case of the MPP, to the president who is not on the ballot. The researchers have always known that in such elections, the most important question is, would you vote for the outgoing president if he was still on the ballot? And if most people will vote for the president, if they could, they'll vote for the nominee of his party. So in a certain sense, that matters more than the choice of running mate. But I congratulate Dr. Opoku Prempeh for being chosen as the running mate.
Now, one of the albatross on the neck of Dr. Opoku Prempeh is his relation with the public. People have described him as arrogant, and they say this tag will eventually drag Dr. Bawumia. You don't think so?
Well, I mean, everything is yet to be done. This is a campaign. This is a new beginning. Yes, he's had some contentious relationship with the media, and he said some unfortunate things, but all of us have made mistakes before. So I believe that this election is yet to be won or lost. As the new British Prime Minister said earlier this morning, in politics, nothing is preordained. So there is a lot of campaigning yet to be done.
And does the choice of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh inspire or inject energy into the MPP's tickets going into 2024?
I don't know that it inspires. My view is that a running mate is not that significant in who people choose to vote for or do not vote for. Like I said, I think actually the president who is not on the ballot matters more than the running mate or even the candidate in this instance.
So for you, it's going to center more on Dr. Bawumia and not necessarily who is on the ticket with?
Yes, Dr. Bawumia and the president and his record.
Right. So talking about the president in this particular issue, how exactly will that work out?
Well, it is actually pretty simple, and elections are actually very fundamental processes. If you walk around the streets and you ask 100 or 1,000 or whatever the appropriate number is, well balanced, if Nana Akufo-Addo was eligible for re-election, would you vote for him, yes or no? If a majority are voting for him, it bodes well for his party. If a majority will say no, then it doesn't bode well for his party.
Right. So that's the dynamics there. But also looking at the fortunes of the NPP going into the elections, some MPs even have expressed fear that, well, looking at the current situation economy-wise in the country and seeing what happened in Kenya, looks like a lot of people are displeased, and that could really backfire on the NPP.
And that is a very valid concern. Actually, what is at stake is not even just the fate of the MPP, it's the fate of our democracy. I think that there is significant discontent on our streets. Our young people are finishing university and not getting jobs. People are being charged bribes to get into government jobs, including even the security services. Our rivers are being polluted in the name of Galamsey. The president and the MPP government have failed to fulfill two of the most significant promises the president made, which was protect the public purse, and I'll put my presidency on the line to fight Galamsey. So given that, Dr. Bawumia and Dr. Opoku Prempeh have a very steep hill to climb.
Right. And in terms of the despondency when it comes to the youth and how they feel, how do you think that the NPP can navigate these waters 5 months to the elections?
Well, I don't think it's just the MPP, but now that you said that, let me start with them. I think my own sense of the streets is that people are dissatisfied with the Nana Addo government. So any message of continuity rubs salt into people's wounds. So if people want to vote for Nana Addo and you are pledging continuity, then that will bode ill for you. People want to see how different Bawumia will be from Nana Akufo-Addo. That is why he kind of resorted to the schoolboy prank of Aplanke. So that is the first thing. But more to the point, I think that this is not just an MPP problem. It's a national problem that our democracy is facing a credibility crisis. And I think that particularly looking at Kenya, whose case I have followed keenly over the last few days, we should, as the Akans say, fetch water and put beside our beard when we see that other people's beards are on fire. We are very close to an explosion based on the despondency on our streets.
And for the MPs in our parliament, they have talked about the fact that, well, it could be largely as a result of the political class being delineated from the realities of the ordinary Ghanaian. Is that really the case?
Yeah, that is the case. And actually, Parliament, in the gap between now and election, Parliament could do a lot to restore hope. Things like public housing projects that have been abandoned while people have no housing. They can start holding the government to account on doing nothing about Galamsey. They can start holding people to account about asset declaration forms that have not been made public, a myriad alphabet soup of deals that have not been probed, the death of the Techiman 8, the Sal case, the Santrofi Apafu, Lulubi and Lipe people who were disenfranchised the last time. These things by Parliament would begin to give people a glimmer of hope that the future will not be as dire as the present or the past.
And in all of this, should the president play a key role or an active role in the campaign of Dr. Bawumia?
If I was Dr. Bawumia, I wouldn't want him anywhere near my campaign.
Why not? I mean, he says the president is the driver, he's the mate, so once the mate he wants to take over from the driver, he should have some lessons as a guide for him from the driver.
Yeah, but he knows that the driver is heading in the wrong direction. So if the mate gets in the driver's seat, he should change direction. So if I was him, I wouldn't want the president anywhere near my campaign.
But knowing very well how it works in the party and all, do you think that indeed Dr. Bawumia can be his own man and not have the president anywhere near his campaign?
If he wants to win, he will be. If he doesn't want to win, then of course, the president was his godfather who blessed him with this nomination, and the president will take him to defeat.
And from all that you have seen over the years, do you see that happening? Dr. Bawumia being able to really cut off?
Well, we should always be careful about predicting what people will do. When you are staring at electoral defeat, sometimes you can do radical things. There are rumors, for example, that Dr. Opoku Prempeh was not the president's choice for running mate, but Dr. Bawumia picked him anyway. So I can't say what Dr. Bawumia will do or will not do, but I'm just saying that if I was Dr. Bawumia, the president will not be anywhere near my campaign, and I would boldly tell the people of Ghana about the mistakes that have been made, failing to protect the public purse, not fighting Galamsey, the myriad alphabet soup of corruption, judicial malfeasance, undermining the integrity of a lot of our state agencies and institutions, and pledge that I will forge a new path.
And can Dr. Bawumia exonerate himself from any of this, the things you've mentioned that happened in this government?
Well, we are about to see. That will tell us his skill as a politician. But for now, he has a long road to hoe and a lot of campaigning left to do. But I think that this election is John Mohammed's to lose and Alan's to change.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean that looking at everything, taking into account the global winds of change, Ghana's tendency to change parties after every 8 years, Nana Ado's abysmal record, it means that if you look at things through the historical prism, the NDC seem to be slightly favored. Having said that, Alan is the new card. He's been a little complacent, but he's the person who can shake up this race and potentially take it to a second round. That aside, there's a lot of campaigning left to be done. So we should all hold on tight to our seats.
If elections were held today, now, will the MPP be able to break the 8?
The elections will not be held today, so that's hypothetical. And like I have just said in all the foregoing discussion, I think that Dr. Bawumia has a difficult task ahead of him, and maybe in the next 5-6 months he can close the gap. But for now, it appears to me that Mr. Mohammed, former President Mohammed, appears to have the inside track a little bit.
Now, talking about Alan Kodjo Chebatin, I mean, the polls don't seem to favor him in any way, looking at what has been conducted even till date. What is Alan not getting right? You mentioned complacency, but is that really the case only?
Yes, it is. I think that he would make a fine president if he were elected, but so far he hasn't been an inspiring candidate. If you are going to go out on a third-party independent candidate as a maverick, then you ought to be a maverick. He seems to be too much of the establishment to attack it. And he's not going to be relevant unless he attacks the establishment and slays the sacred cows, which pushed him out of the party and which has marginalized him.
So for you, he's been to, he's dealing with the government with kid gloves. He's not able to punch as he should.
Yes, not at all. And I think that we don't know his ceiling yet, and it will depend on the aggression and passion and candor with which he addresses the issues confronting the country. If there is discontent on the streets, he is the most, he is the best positioned person to harvest the discontent. But all in all, the question is whether it will be first or second round. For now, it will appear to me this election is President Mohammed's to lose.
Quite interesting, because Alan has presented his GTP, the Great Transformational Plan. He's told Ghanaians exactly how he wishes to transform the economy, among others, if he's elected president.
Yeah, and I have told Alan and a lot of his people that people don't vote on transformational plans. They vote with anger and frustration, as the Asantehene memorably told Nana Ado. So if Alan is going to succeed, he needs to harvest the anger on the streets. If he doesn't do that, no amount of plans and brofo and transformational talk will do anything. As for talk, bread.
And you believe that's the general consensus of a lot of Ghanaians?
Absolutely. Because, you know, the problem with Ghana is not that we don't have plans. Actually, even Nana Ado's government has had a lot of very good plans. Those plans have been hampered by corruption and incompetence. So new plans will not change anybody's perspective.
And talking about Alan and the people surrounding him, the argument is that, well, these are people who also broke off from the stock of the NPP. So what difference will that really make to Alan's candidacy?
Well, it depends on what is it that they take away from the MPP. Yeah, there are some competent people around him. Nano Hininto is very competent, but at the end of the day, it goes to the core of Alan, whether he is too much of the establishment to break with it, or whether he is truly a transformative visionary who can inspire Ghanaians to follow him. That really is the issue.
And talking about John Dramani Mahama of the NDC, I mean, earlier the polls suggested he had wide margins. Now it looks like he's dwindling in terms of the numbers in the margins. Does that come as a surprise to you?
No, yes and no. I mean, the election will always close getting to the end as more and more people focus on it. I think that maybe President Mohammed needs to engage the public more. I think that, unlike a lot of people who are very pessimistic, I think I'm intrigued by President Mohammed's campaign and his possible government, because he left the presidency in disgrace after a heavy defeat, first sitting president to lose one touch. So I think he's done a lot of reflection. I am just finishing a biography of Richard Nixon, and I am reflecting on what leaders do after they lose elections. I think that another term for President Mohammed, if he is tuned to history and his conscience, might be a transformative term in which he will lead a government of national unity that will deliver hope to our despairing masses.
Quite interesting. And finally, let's touch on this. The Chief Justice has nominated some, or presented a list of some 5 judges to the President to nominate to the Supreme Court. Some say, well, the NDC, for instance, says the President is seeking to pack the bench. Others say, well, the Chief Justice did not have the locum to even suggest to the President who to appoint. Much ado about nothing?
It's much ado about nothing, but it tells us about the hubris of our establishment. We are sitting on the deck of the Titanic and moving chairs. We already have 15 Supreme Court justices. That is more than the United States that have 10 times our population. And the judiciary's reputation has taken a hit. He's not running the court well. There are a lot of Supreme Court justices who are unhappy with how she sets panels up without explaining to anybody, how she changes panels in the middle of cases. I think our judiciary needs major transformation. Our appellate process should be clarified. The formula for picking panels should be clear and not secretive. Panels should not be changed in the middle of cases. So our judiciary have a long road to hoe, and the idea that anybody would think of adding judges now it defies imagination. It just means that the person is not attuned to what is happening on our streets.
But her argument is that, well, the Supreme Court is inundated with a huge workload, for which reason they need more justices to be able to deal with the issues that come before them.
Yeah, but first, I read the Constitution on how you pick Supreme Court judges, and it does not say that the justice shall nominate judges for appointment to the Supreme Court. She ought to know the Constitution. She's the Chief Justice.
So the argument about the workload for you does not come in at all?
No, it doesn't. And if the United States with 330 million people can do with 9 Supreme Court justices, I don't know how and there are too many. It might mean that maybe they are taking on too many frivolous cases, or that she's not picking the panels more efficiently.
And after that, we've not heard anything from the presidency, nothing. We only heard from the Chief Justice herself providing justification again for why she did that. Are you surprised?
Yes, I'm surprised, but more to the point, the Chief Justice is never mentioned in the process of nominating judges to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So if he is talking, maybe she will tell us her criteria, whether these people were picked because they were the brightest bulbs on the bench, or they are her friends, or they are loyal to her. And particularly when they include the judge who is presiding over the controversial trial on ambulances and catching flack for her really strange rulings. It almost suggests that she is being rewarded, unfortunately.
And the timing is also a problem for people, because we have elections in, less than 5 months?
Absolutely. I mean, it is a very bad idea.
And so you would expect that the president would have spoken on this and said, you know what, we are not going to do this because of the timing and all of that?
To be fair to the president, though, this is just speculation in the weeds. You know, the Chief Justice has no locus to nominate Supreme Court justices. So this is just talk.
But the letter was sent to his office, actually.
I know the letter was sent to his office, but it should have come from the Judicial Council. That is what my reading of the Constitution tells me. So the Chief Justice on her own shouldn't be doing that.
Right. Right. Mr. Kennedy, thank you so much, Doc, for your time this morning. And I'm sure that clearly you've touched on very key issues. But, I mean, going into the elections 2024, December 7, you've talked about what you see. But what about Ghanaians? What would be your word to them then?
My word for them is to vote your interest. You know, if you keep voting for people who keep breaking their promises and you keep voting for them, then you are doing something wrong too.
Really? And from the voting patterns you've seen over the years, do we vote for our interests? Do you see that play out?
No, we don't. We vote for our partisan satisfaction and for our ethnic satisfaction. And that hasn't led us anywhere. We need significant realignment of our political forces.
And what would cause that shift? Because as it stands now, I mean, we've heard of cases where people have told Ghanaians, well, people have short memories when it comes to the hardships they encounter and all of that. So what would be that force that would change the status quo?
Their pain on the streets, their frustration, their joblessness, the arrogance of power.
That should inform choices made in December.
Yes.
So that's for both presidency and parliamentary elections?
Every election. I think that there ought to be significant transformation of our relationship of governance. Electing DCs, separating parliament from the presidency. But I think that, in effect, the thing is leadership.
Right.
It's not just moving things on paper. It is leadership that delivers.
And talking about Parliament, has Parliament delivered as people hoped? Because when the numbers were a bit balanced, when we saw what we saw in this Parliament, a lot of people were of the view that, well, we're going to see some dramatic changes. But from your observation, have we really benefited from Parliament as it is now? Because the President says he would not even wish this kind of Parliament on his worst enemy.
Well, not really. I mean, I think that the star of this last 4 years has been the Speaker, who hasn't gotten enough attention, and the challenges that he has faced trying to, in effect, get this Parliament moving in the same direction. But I actually think that the fact that the Parliament couldn't do much may have been a blessing, because look at how much damage the President has done in the last 4 years. With a Parliament doing whatever he wanted, there would have been more damage.
So this hung Parliament really was a blessing?
In disguise.
In disguise. And you said the Speaker, he's been the star of Parliament and all of that. How so? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, because, you know, all the other speakers, the reason why they have been effective is that they had presidents behind them. So whenever the president wanted something done and the Speaker was leading Parliament, he was really leading Parliament to help the president achieve his agenda. This Speaker, unfortunately, doesn't have a president behind him. So it means that he could not rely on that core of support that every Speaker before him has had. He's trying to change things, but he virtually has no constituency. Even within his own party, there's division. For example, I reached out to him about the COVID funds, 3 billion, and he told me, he said, I referred it to the relevant committees. They didn't even mind me. So I think that the Speaker and he's, for example, gotten parliamentary rules redrafted. So with the benefit of hindsight, we found out that the Speaker in the last 4 years has done significant work, which has not borne fruit because he has not had as much cooperation as he needed.
Doc, thank you so much for joining us. We are grateful for your time this morning.
I thank you for the opportunity.
Fantastic.